converted man here. Well, why is God so goddamn hidden? It's so well hidden that for us skeptics and atheists and agnostics, etc., it might as well not exist. But those that believe have all sorts of reasons why God is hidden. And this is the problem of divine hiddenness, and apologists have no shortage of excuses, reasons why God is hidden. Now, here in this empty chair, well, it appears to be empty. It's actually not empty. You see, there is somebody in the chair, but you can't see them because they are not visible to you. They're visible to me, but not to you, for whatever reason. Maybe it's some sort of technology that's at play here. But nonetheless, you can't see them. Also, they're not going to talk to you, but they are really there, and you have my assurance they love you. And they'd like to have a relationship with you. But thing is, first you have to believe that they're there in order for you to have a relationship with them. Will you have a relationship with them? Yes or no? Well, you might say any number of things at this point, but the biggest problem is I don't even know that there is a person there to have a relationship with because I don't see anybody. Oh, no. Listen, I have all of these books from experts and historians and scientists and philosophers written throughout time from all over the earth that all agree that this person really does love you and is really sitting in this chair. And until you decide to have a relationship with it, well, you're going to miss out because it really loves you. Really, it does. They do. There's all sorts of problems with this. All sorts of problems. It doesn't matter how many people say that it's true. It doesn't matter how many people said, well, after coming to have a belief in the person in the chair, I've had a tremendous change in my life, and I feel the love coming from the person that's on the chair, and it turned my life around, and my life would be far worse off if I didn't believe in the person in the chair. Oh, after I started believing in the person in the chair, I stopped doing drugs. All these wonderful testimonies. I asked that somebody sick get better, and the person in the chair made that person get better. So that's amazing to me. That's a miracle, and I know that they are real, and how dare you suggest otherwise? And you say, well, can't we have something that would show that this person is there? I can't see them, and they're not talking to me, so how could I verify they're there? Can we weigh them, perhaps? Could I get some glass so I could see their breath against the glass? No. You're not allowed to approach the chair. See that beam of light there? You're not allowed to get close to the chair there to inspect it or to probe it or to test it or anything of that nature. The key feature here is belief in the person in the chair. Do you believe in the person in the chair? Yes or no? Well, no, I don't have any reason to. Well, then there you go. That's the problem. It's not going to reveal itself because it loves you, but it's not going to show itself to you. Well, why not? Well, because it's just not. That doesn't make sense. I thought it wants to have a relationship with me. Yeah, well, but let's say that it did reveal itself, right? Would you have a relationship with it then? Well, I don't know. It depends what kind of person it is, doesn't it? It depends whether they're nice or not, or a moral person or not. Well, there you go. That's the problem is you're not sure. You have to be sure. Okay, fine. I'm okay if they reveal themselves, and I absolutely have a relationship with them, but only if they reveal themselves. Oh, come on now. You're asking the person in the chair to reveal themselves to you. Ah, you just you just you just think that you're so much better than the person in the chair. You know how powerful the person in the chair is? They made that chair. Not only did they make the chair, they made the floor that the chair is sitting on. They made everything. Okay, even if I believe that's true for a second, so what? Why can't they just show themselves to me so I know that they're there? So then I don't, then I can decide whether or not I want a relationship with them. And so it goes. So here's a bit from two apologists, and the one is Blake. So will he tell us why the tiger is burning in the forest of the night? No. Will he explain why God is hidden? Also no, but we're going to have fun with it anyways, or I'm going to have fun with it. Oops, I forgot to click share audio when I did that, and that would be a problem. Okay, so the guy with the giant eyebrows I had a debate with, where he used the shotgun tactic fallacy against me, but I'm not bitter about that. Anyways, so let's listen to Blake a little bit. Here he's going to give us the argument that somebody made against the problem of evil, although it's not exactly the argument, and then he's going to, okay, so.
But if you really want to just use normal everyday language to understand what the argument is, it goes like this. Premise 1, if God exists, God is all good. Premise 2, if God is all good, God is perfectly loving. Premise 3, so if God exists, God is perfectly loving. That's a sub-conclusion. 4, but a perfectly loving God would ensure everyone is always able to be in relationship with God just by trying. 5, and that ability requires belief that God exists. 6, so therefore God would ensure all believe. 7, so if God exists, all persons believe God exists. 8, but not everyone believes that. 9, so no, God has ensured everyone believes it. 10, so no, God has ensured everyone is able to be in such a relationship just by trying. 11, so no perfectly loving God exists. 12, so no all good God exists. 13, so God in general does not exist, because those are supposed to be essential properties of God.
Wow, that's a long-ass argument. I could reduce that down to 2 premises with a conclusion and make it nice and tidy. Okay? A being, any being that is posited to want a relationship with you would make it possible for you to have a relationship with it. If that being does not make it possible for you to have a relationship with it, then that being doesn't exist, or something like that. I have to work at it. But at any rate, you can reduce it down really simply. But of course, you're assuming that the being wants a relationship with you, right? You're assuming that that's its desire. Maybe it doesn't want a relationship with you, but we're positing a being that wants to have a relationship with me. That makes it more personal. For me, if you want to have a relationship with me, I need to know that you exist. If I do not know you exist, I cannot have a relationship with you. That doesn't mean the being doesn't exist, but it does mean that the being isn't making effort to let me know that it exists. So you'd have to put that an all-powerful, a being capable of letting me know that it exists and that desires that I have a relationship with it, would then show to me that it exists so that I could then have a relationship with it. So you have to conjoin and connect the two things together, that the being wants a relationship with me and that it's able and willing to to reveal itself to me in such a way that I know it exists, so that then I could decide whether or not I want a relationship with it in the first place. It might be that I don't want one. I don't know. I haven't met the being yet because it's an empty chair on the stage. I don't see it. I have no evidence of it. All I have is people telling me about it. And that's not enough for me to determine whether or not that being's there. But nonetheless, this extraordinarily long argument isn't really the argument the guy used anyways. So, he's just, whatever, but that's okay. Let's listen to him then knock down the straw man argument that,
So that's sort of a quick version of it. But one objection really jumps out quickly to this version. And it would go a bit like this is, hey, don't forget that there are clearly resistant non-believers. These are people who, upon coming to belief in God, would just immediately and always say no thanks to God.
Well, there's a problem with this, okay? Because I think that this is very much a problem of the apologist not really listening to what the skeptic, atheist, agnostic, whatever your label is out there, the non-believer has to say about this. Okay, I've been asked this question every now and again. If you knew that God existed, would you worship it? Well, it depends what God is like. If it turned out that Hitler was God, would you worship it? No, I would not. It's not a difficult question for me to posit or to answer. And it shouldn't be a difficult question for anybody to answer. If it turned out that God, whatever God is a moral monster, is immoral, or amoral, it doesn't have morals like you and I. If it turned out that God was evil, was an evil God, and that all the good was simply a byproduct of necessity to bring about more evil, there's an argument for the evil God like that out there that posits that an all evil God exists, and that the reason why we see good is simply a necessary benefit so that more evil can be produced. And that if we didn't know what good was, then we couldn't know what evil was. So that's what's going on. If that sort of God existed, would you worship it? Would you follow it? Now, you might, because, well, doing so might save your eternal soul. But then again, who knows, since it's evil? You don't know what's going to happen if you worship it or not. You don't have any guarantee if it's evil, right? But the answer is not in response to an actual God, because I don't have an example of an actual God actually revealing itself to humanity, not just to me, but to humanity, so that we would not be mistaken about what it was and what it wanted. If God happens to be a different God than the God that you guys believe in, would you worship it? Maybe, maybe not. It depends. It depends what God is like. So what you're doing, what I think is going on here is they've heard, or talked to, they've read some, maybe even me, because I've said this, that no, I wouldn't worship Yahweh. The way that Yahweh is presented in the Bible, the Old and in the New Testament as well, it doesn't really get much better there. Yahweh isn't a God I would worship, because it's just a bad God. It's not a good God. It doesn't do good things. It doesn't seem to be very good at keeping promises. It seems to be really bad at that, and actually seems to drag people around and mess with people and jerk them around a bit. And then, later you have Jesus, but Jesus has bad advice, doesn't really, say anything that significant, and then just kind of buggers off, after he comes back to life, supposedly, like he's around for a little bit just to say, hi guys, I'm here. And then he buggers off again because, that makes sense. Why not stick around for a while? But, whatever. So Yahweh and Jesus aren't very good. I maybe could hang out with Jesus. I don't know. He seems kind of like a hippie. Like, I could tolerate him. I don't know that I'd want to be his friend. But maybe. I don't know. I don't know the guy. He hasn't shown up. He hasn't come to the door. I keep asking him to come to the door. He doesn't knock. So I can't open the door unless he knocks, and he's not knocking. Not audibly. And it's not enough. Well, he knocks in a way that it's like, that's metaphor. You see, he's knocking at the door. That means, like, look, it's a spiritual thing. Well, now you have to prove spiritual's a thing. But so I think that the thing is, you're thinking that that Blake is thinking that if God really did show up, that there'd be people that said no to God anyways. And that might be the case. But we don't know how many people that is. In fact, maybe if God actually revealed itself, it would be that more people would say no to God. Well, then God must not be perfect then. God must be a real big jerk if revealing itself meant more people would not want to be in a relationship with it. Then it must be a nasty, vile creature then. Like, isn't it supposed to be all loving and perfect and awesome and amazing? Like, who wouldn't want to be in a relationship with something like that? So the problem is that you're perhaps mixing up the answer to a thought experiment to what would really occur. I don't know, honestly, what I would do if God revealed itself in such a way that the entire world knew that there was a God. It could do that. It could do it right now, this very second. Hold on, let's wait. Nope, didn't happen. Okay. Life went on. Nothing significant happened. Nothing appeared in the sky and say, hey, check it out, or whatever, So that is a huge problem for me before I even decide. I can't decide if I want a relationship or not with something that I don't even know is there in the first place. So I think that Blake is confusing what would I say to Yahweh, which is absolutely not but maybe Yahweh is not the way that people portray it. Maybe Yahweh is actually really cool. And then I would say yes. But I don't know. It depends what God is like.
A relationship with him. And this is relevant because in the argument, God's specified motivation was to ensure that everyone believes or is allowed to be in a relationship through belief. And obviously for the resistant non-believer, God just doesn't have that motivation. If God knows that Joe over here is just going to say no thanks to relationship, why should we think that God is going to make him believe or become a theist?
But that's not the issue. Okay. It's not about making somebody believe or not. And that's interesting. You're conflating belief with relationship now. So you're changing what the problem is. The problem is I don't know whether I want I can't have a relationship with something that I don't know is a thing. That's the problem I have. I have an empty chair sitting here that may or may not have an invisible person on it, and that doesn't help me to decide whether or not I should have a relationship with it. You're mixing. Well, now you believe in me. Well, I have no choice but to believe in Blake. Like I wouldn't even use the word belief anymore because it's obvious that Zach, last name, no way I'm going to pronounce that, and Blake exist to me. There's no doubt in my mind that these people exist. Now, I had one debate with Zach. You know, could have gone better for me, I think. But in the end, I think I you know, pinned him on the epistemology. But no, you know, could have been better. Who knows? Whatever. And I've never talked to him in a normal conversation. And I've never talked to Blake. But I could hypothetically have some sort of relationship with either of these people. Or it could be that, you know, it turns out that, you know, they're not that great, or I don't like them, or it may be that they don't like me, or who knows. But we have the choice. We have the opportunity to do that because we know for certain that we exist. What we have here is we don't know that this thing exists, and yet you're saying it also wants a relationship with me. I'm not going to get any evidence that it actually does want a relationship directly. I have to get that indirectly from other people. Humans wrote the Bible. Now, maybe you think, well, it's divinely inspired, whatever. That's great. That's nice. But some human wrote that. Although I suppose you could have said God wrote it. It doesn't really matter. It's just another claim anyways. Okay, so God was willing at some point to make itself known to somebody, but that somebody wasn't me. Why not? You know, why couldn't God do what he did for Adam and Eve for all of humanity? All at the same time. God's timeless, right? So why not give us all the Garden of Eden test or something like it? So that we can say, do you want a relationship with me? This is what I'm like. Oh, okay. Well, now I know what you're like. Now I can make an informed choice in whether I want to, you know, have a relationship with you or not. But by being hidden, i.e. invisible, untestable, unprovable, you cannot make a decision whether you want or don't want a relationship with it in the first place. So all Blake is doing here is confusing the belief in the thing with the relationship of the thing. So we'll rewind a bit and replay it just so that we can, you know, recatch up to what was said here.
And obviously for the resistant non-believer, God just doesn't have that motivation. If God knows that Joe over here is just going to say no thanks to relationship, why should we think that God is going to make him believe or become a theist?
So make him believe. In other words, right now Joe doesn't want a relationship. It's not that Joe doesn't want a relationship per se. It's that Joe's been asked, do you want a relationship with God? And Joe's like, what's God? You say, oh, God's this invisible thing that you can't see. No, I guess. I mean, I can't really answer that, you know? And so, Joe cannot have that relationship because there's no, you know, it's just, it doesn't work. It doesn't, you know, it just, you're getting it wrong. Hold on a second. Let me do a thing here. If it works. Might not work. Don't know. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Anyways. All right. I was going to try to do something. Because I wanted the invisible share here at the same time. I guess I could just edit my avatar to be that. You know, let's do that. You know. Okay. Let's play some more of the video while I fiddle around with myself here. I mean, my avatar. You know what I'm talking about.
It would be pointless. So I remember watching a debate here. There was a live debate in Dallas between Dan Barker and a friend of mine named Justin Bass. And I remember I grabbed this quote from Dan where he says, even if I agreed with Dr. Bass 100%, and he said some other stuff, and he said, I would still reject that being as a Lord of my life because I'm better than that. I cannot accept Jesus as Lord. So this is a problem because the way I framed the hiddenness argument before, it's just clearly false that God would ensure that Dan has everything he needs to believe, because that would be pointless. Why would he? God knows that Dan would just immediately reject a relationship. So you might want to modify it. And that's what Schellenberg does. He strengthens it essentially by saying all creatures capable of explicit and positively meaningful relationship with God who have not freely shut themselves off from God. Those are the people who God would make sure have belief. He would at least make sure.
Wait, what? So this is double talk nonsense. Again, so the guy that you're referring to, he was asked about a God that you told, or that somebody told him about. And he's better than that version of God. And again, this is the Hitler God. So you see the invisible person in my chair? Do you want a relationship with this invisible person in the chair? Oh, you don't? Why not? Because you said he was. You said that the invisible person in the chair is going to send me to. Is going to do terrible things to people, and that I don't like that. So I mean, no. But I don't even believe that the invisible person in the chair is actually there in the first place. So there's two problems going on simultaneously. It's that one, here's the invisible person in this chair. Here's what they are like. I am telling you this. You have no way to verify anything I said is true. You have to take me at my word that everything I say about the invisible person in the chair is true. Okay? And the way I described the invisible person in the chair, even though I said it's really loving, I also said that, the invisible person in the chair every once in a while will smack a kid upside the head for no reason. Now, you don't like that. You object to that. You think that that's cruel and mean-spirited and not very fair. And you say, I don't know. I don't want to hang out with somebody that randomly smacks kids for no reason. Well, maybe they have a reason. Maybe I misspoke. Look. Nobody really knows why the man that I thought you said we don't know the gender. It doesn't matter. Look, I'm calling him a man just to make it easier. The invisible man in the chair that might not be a man goes around and sometimes smacks kids randomly, but they might be doing it for a reason that I don't know. Okay? Look. They are actually a good person and they love you. So do you want to have... No, I don't want to have a relationship with that person. Well, that's why the man in the invisible chair won't show up. He won't make himself visible because you won't accept him. You won't want a relationship with him. Ha, 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 I win. Wait, what? This kind of another way to say it. You don't want to drive my flying car, so I'm not even going to show it to you. Yeah, exactly. So you don't want to have this relationship with somebody that I described as, kind of a moral monster, even though I don't believe it's a moral monster. I actually believe it's a good monster. It's not even a monster. The invisible thing, man, whatever. The invisible person in the chair is nice. Just ignore that whole slapping kids around. Okay, that was me. That was just a misspoke on my part. Okay, look. No, really, they are good though. But you have no reason to believe that. And then I say, even if you had reason to believe, you still wouldn't want a relationship with them. So they're never going to show themselves to actually be there because you don't deserve it. You would just say no anyways. What nonsense.
From God, those are the people who God would make sure have belief. He would at least make sure that all of those people are theists. And that's where we go from there. And has everything he needs to believe, because that would be pointless. Why would he? God knows that Dan would just immediately reject relationship. So you might want to modify it. And that's what Schellenberg does. He strengthens it essentially by saying all creatures capable of explicit and positively meaningful relationship with God who have not freely shut themselves off from God. Those are the people who God would make sure have belief. He would at least make sure that all of those people are theists.
What a wonderful way to justify this meme concept, this idea. The people that are going to believe are going to be able to believe without any evidence at all. And they're going to be able to believe because they're people that are going to be able to believe. Did I get that wrong? Anyone? Anyone think I got that wrong? Because I'm pretty sure I got that right. That's what Blake is saying. Anyone that's able to believe in magic is going to be able to believe in magic. And the people that can't believe in magic, well, they're never going to believe in magic. So, of course, magic will make itself available to those that are open to the possibility of magic. But if you're closed-minded and you're so skeptical and you just want it proven, then you won't be able to see it. You won't be able to get access to the magic because you have to believe that the magic is real before the magic will become real.
And that's where we go from there.
So I think that when tackling the logical problem, at least I think it's important to emphasize the idea of just like non-resistant non-believers. Like, a lot of atheists would claim, or just non-Christians in general, that they're a non-resistant non-believers. If there is a truly loving God, and they'd say that they're open to it, and if there is this loving God, he would come and reveal himself to them because they truly would come into Christ or something along those lines if they felt that God didn't seem hidden. So like when looking at like the idea of like non-resistant non-believers, why are there non-resistant non-believers, kind of looking at that aspect of divine hiddenness?
What was the question? What was that last?
Kind of like,
that was actually a decent question, Zach. Too bad Blake didn't hear it because he tuned out or something. Would you eat the poison apple from the poison tree? Well, is it an apple? Yeah, it's an apple. Anyways, you weren't supposed to eat from the poison tree. That was for the okay. Anyways,
how do you look at like the problem of like non-resistant non-believers in regards to like divine hiddenness?
Well, that would be I guess the whole topic of what we're going through here. So I would, if I were in a discussion with someone, I would say, look, there are a number of reasons for hiddenness, even to people who might be open to being in a relationship with God. So I think I've got four at least big categories. And each of these categories have subpoints, and especially like reason number 2 and reason number 3 have a number of subpoints. But
reasons it's just excuses, But let's hear your reasons why this thing is so invisible and so hidden and so unprovable. Let's hear the reasons why God is so well hidden that it might as well not exist.
Odd reason number 2 here would be this. Some non-believers, so if someone's coming to me and say, hey, why here's, Joe over here, he would believe and be in relationship with God. He would be in relationship with God if only God revealed himself to him. So why doesn't God reveal himself to him? And I'm going to come back and I'm going to say, man, there's all sorts of reasons it could be. Here's an example of one. Some non-believers in their current state would just form a perpetually improper relationship with God. And it could be an improper relationship where, for example, the human, Joe here, won't ever believe or trust God as all good.
The fuck kind of whack non-logic is that? So the reason that this invisible person in the chair won't become visible is because you might have the wrong kind of relationship. You might form an improper relationship. Well, wait a minute. Why should that matter? How is that possible? This is a perfect being. How the hell can I have an improper relationship with a perfect being? That makes no fucking sense, Blake. Oh, man. It's like a little boy gets lost, or even a little girl gets lost. You know, what are you gonna do then, Blake? Anyways, what was I saying? It's like, you know, look, how can you see another sorrow and not be with sorrow filled, Blake? Wait, what's that got to do with what I'm talking about? Oh, nothing. Okay, anyways, look. So the God won't reveal itself, or the man in the chair won't reveal itself to everybody watching, because you might have an improper relationship with it. What the flying? Just how? Why? How do you know that? Well, how is that possible? And what does that got to do with anything? Look, okay, maybe it's improper, whatever the bleep that means. Like, oh, you don't trust it. Like, well, why wouldn't I trust it? I thought that it was perfect. Like, so now it's not just enough that I have a relationship. It's also like, I have to trust it and obey it, and I have to do this and that, and I have to stand on my head and squeak like a duck. And does ducks squeak? I don't know. You have to make sounds, and you have to go around and sing "I'm a Little Teapot" in your underpants. You know, and if you don't do that, then it's not going to show itself to you. All right, $1 million for you to get, you know, you have to run around butt naked. Okay. All right, here's the claim. Wait, no, I've got it. Okay, here's the thing. I'll do it right now. I'll make a claim. All right. If any of you out there listening to this right now want $1 million sent to you immediately, all you have to do is send me a video of you running around in your front yard. Now, I have to have verification that it's actually your front yard, by the way, and that it's actually you as well. But nonetheless, with proper verification, a film of you running around in your front yard butt naked, screaming, "I'm a little teapot, short and stout. This is my handle, and this is my spout." And then when you say "this is my spout," point to your butt, and you know, and then you send that film to me, and then you'll get $1 million. Who's going to do it? Who's going to send me that? None of you. Oh God, if I get any films, oh man, I'm going to regret this. No, none of you are, because I've not proven that claim. And then if you did, let's just say you did, because somebody crazy might do that. I doubt it, but, you know, because they might get arrested if they did that. But let's say somebody did that. I said, oh, well, see, if I gave you the $1 million, the problem is you just have an improper relationship with that $1 million. So I'm not going to give it to you until you do this. You know, and I just move the goalpost. What nonsense.
Okay, maybe they'll just never agree or trust God's reasons for allowing suffering, or they'll just never agree with God when it comes to an issue like homosexuality.
The hell? If I have a relationship with, let's say, Mingud, and we're buddies, we're good friends here, Mingud, you know, he said this thing here, and we've talked, and we have fun. We might not agree on everything, and that's okay. But you're saying that if I or he was God, and I can never disagree with God, ever. You can't disagree with God on anything, especially homosexuality. What is, you know, Blake, I wonder, what do you think God has against homosexuality, and where do you think that appears in the Bible? Because I have a sneaking suspicion that you don't understand what the hell the Bible says about that, and maybe it's actually Blake here that has a problem with homosexuality. You know, it's like, first you gotta ask, what the hammer and what the chain, and in what furnace was thy brain, Blake? You gotta ask that question. You're not asking the tough questions.
God condemns that. So these people just are never on board with God's goodness. They never believe that. And that very plausibly would be an eternally improper relationship, one that would be better to not exist at all. That would constitute a lingering evil in the world. If God perpetuated those people. Another example of an improper relationship would be one where the human always rejects moral transformation. So one of the most important things when submitting your life to Christ is saying, look, I submit myself to you entirely. I'm not holding anything back. You are God. You are Lord.
Now, see, it's not enough for you to it's not a normal relationship. Let's get that clear. This isn't actually a relationship anymore. This is a servant. I am being a servant. I am being a slave to this person at this point. I'm submitting myself to them, groveling at the feet. You're Lord. You're above me. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. It's like, you ever seen that episode of Golden Girls? You know, the character Rose. Oh, Rose, thou art sick. The invisible worm that flies in the night, in the howling storm, has found out thy bed of crimson joy, and his dark secret love does thy life destroy. You know, Blake, you know what I'm talking about there, Blake? Blake's never going to listen to this anyways. All right, so yeah, more nonsense reasons. Well, maybe if the person in the chair revealed itself to you, and you didn't worship at the person's in the chair's feet, then what? And it knows that you wouldn't do that, then it's not going to reveal itself to you. So, okay, look. So find me the person that's willing to look. It's not just enough that I want a relationship. Now I have to say, not only would I have this relationship, but no, I swear I would absolutely grovel at the feet of this thing and do all this, yada, yada, yada. I do whatever it wants me to do. Now will it show itself to me? No, because I can move the goalpost back a little bit more, a little bit further every time. Anytime you get a little bit close to making it that God would reveal itself, you could just move the goalpost back a little bit more. It's brilliant. Lord.
And some people just won't do that. You know, they'll be like, all right, I'll be in a relationship with you, but you're not going to be my God.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that'd be kind of silly. If you knew that it was God, then it's your God, regardless of, I mean, it's everybody's. Is that like with the current politics where people are like, it's not my president, even though, like, yeah, it is. Have they figured out who won yet? Probably not. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it. I don't care. So I voted for me. That's who I voted for. Oh man. So it's that basically this is all adding up to the reasons why God won't show itself to you is because God knows that you would reject it if it did. Okay, no, I'm not going to reject it, but I can't accept or reject it until it shows itself to me. I don't know what God's like. I know what you're telling me God's like, but that's it. I don't actually know what God's actually like. Well, see, that's the whole problem. That's why God won't reveal itself to you. Since you don't like it. You wouldn't kiss its feet. You wouldn't dance around. You wouldn't do what it wanted. So it's not going to reveal itself to you. What nonsense. What circular nonsense.
And that too is very plausibly an improper relationship, the kind that might be better to not exist at all from God's eye. Another example is someone who might say that or might accept moral transformation, but as I alluded to just a minute ago, or just a second ago, that they'll never accept God as their God. So that's the one I just meant, or just mentioned a second ago. Something else that might end up happening, and Travis Dumsday published a whole paper on this, is interestingly, humans can theoretically at least think that the power shouldn't belong to God, and they can grow jealous of God's power. And he talks about the story of Satan. If you take that seriously at all, and it seems.
And why the hell would God care if you're jealous of its power? Why would that matter? It doesn't matter. And why would I grow jealous of its power? Why? Why would that happen? And the story of Lucifer, which is completely fabricated, not in the Bible, but nonetheless, yeah, sure, the made-up story of Lucifer that the church added in later to scare the hell out of people, literally, or, well, scare the hell into people, rather. You know, jeez, you guys, the apologists are so, it's just clearly grasping at straws here. You know, I would have interrupted Blake here so many times probably, because everything he's saying is wrong at like every conceivable turn. It's wrong. That, well, you're not going to kiss God's feet. You're not going to worship God. You're not going to make it your God. So that's why God wouldn't show himself. And even if he did, then you're not going to do this. So that's why God won't show up. And then it's not this. So that's why.
Seems plausible. This is an individual, Satan, who.
Oh, yeah. The Satan thing. So getting jealous of God. I can never gain that much power. So there's zero reason for me to be jealous of that power. I can never achieve it. And why would it bother God even if I was jealous of his power? God's just be like, yeah, well, I'm sorry you feel that way, but that's the way it is. You know, I can't give you my power because I'm unable to for reasons, I guess. Or like, you know, look, could you give me a little bit of power? Like, just let me fly around or something? That'd be kind of cool. You know, look, I'm not asking for a lot here. I just, look, you can do all these amazing, cool things. That's pretty cool, God. At this point, God's actually revealed itself to me so that and the entire world, so that I know for sure that it's actually God. But, hey, God, you can do anything. Can you just, like, let me fly? You know, just like Superman flies, you know, wee, you know, just a little bit, just maybe for today, you know, that'd be cool. It'd be awesome, you know, and then, you know, no. I definitely you would get jealous of God's power because that makes sense. And that really would irritate God. So because of that, God's not going to show itself to you because you might do this. Notice these are all things that you might do. So because you might do any of these things, then God's not going to show itself to you. So all of these so far are nothing but excuses of why the invisible man in the chair won't show himself to you, is because all of these terrible things that you won't do for the invisible man, once he does show himself to you, he knows you. He knows that you wouldn't kiss his feet. He knows that you wouldn't worship him. He knows that you wouldn't really love him. And because of that, he's not going to stop being invisible for you. Okay, look. No, I'm going to do all those things. But at first, I need him to be visible. Well, no, see, there's one last thing that you forgot about. One last reason that the invisible man in the chair and God have to remain invisible. Because they want you, that both the invisible man and God demand that you believe in them without proof. And if you can't believe in them in that way, that's the wrong kind of relationship. So see, if it showed itself to people that would make people have the wrong sort of relationship with it. So it has to be invisible. It all makes sense if you stop thinking about it. I mean, you know.
Is quite aware of God's existence, but nevertheless didn't enter into a proper relationship with God, and in fact grew jealous of God. As a result of that.
And that story never happened, so it doesn't matter.
An example of an improper relationship that God might not want to get started in the first place. So these are all things that might be true of Joe right now.
But they're not.
It's not enough to say, hey, Joe, or why isn't God making his existence clear to Joe? Because you need to show that Joe doesn't satisfy each and every one of these. And sometimes that's really hard to do.
And then even if you did show that Joe satisfied all those conditions, you could always just make up a new reason why God isn't showing itself to Joe, right?
The other thing you need to consider is what if Joe will just never love God? Maybe Joe will be like,
oh my word. How Joe can't decide whether or not to love God because Joe doesn't even know there is a God in the first place to love. But if God's so goddamn perfect, why wouldn't I or anyone else love it? Maybe then it's not perfect. And why does it matter if I love it or not, by the way? What does God need with my love? Now, you're a human, Blake. You might need my attention, my care, my desire, my love. But a being that is unlike us in every conceivable way, that made everything, why the hell would it care if I liked it or not? Look, it's like this. You gotta ask this. Little lamb, who made thee? Dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee food fed by the stream and over the mid. Gave thee clothing of delight, softest clothing, woolly bright. Gave thee such a tender voice, making all the vales rejoice, Blake. Do you know who made the lamb? Well, no, but see, the problem is once you ask the question, who made the lamb, you're assuming there's a who. You're not asking what made the lamb. In fact, saying made the lamb is assuming the lamb was made. So you see the problem. You're not asking these critical questions, Blake. A million points goes out to whoever knows what the bleep I'm doing with all this. Okay, anyways, let's see. If I made my point to go a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more, and then we'll be done. Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? You're God, you're ruler, you're all that. But Joe just has no affection whatsoever for God. Or maybe Joe just wants to, he's doing the Christian-like things just because he wants gifts. I just want to go to heaven, or I just want these religious experiences. That's all it is for me. These are examples that are at least plausibly improper relationships. And in our hypothetical person, Joe here, maybe he's situated such that if he found out God existed, that's as far as his relationship would go. As these very, very superficial states that would never go further.
But right now, Joe can't go anywhere with any type of relationship because Joe doesn't know that there's even a God to have a relationship with. So none of these hypotheticals about Joe even matter even a little bit. Why won't you have a relationship with the man in the chair? Why won't anybody have a relationship with this invisible man that's in this chair? Because they don't know that it exists. Except for me saying, oh no, I can see him. I can see the invisible man. Nobody else but me can. The invisible man really loves you and cares about you. Do you want a relationship with the invisible man? I don't know. I don't know that it exists. I can't see it. If I can't see it, I can't test it, then I don't know if I want a relationship with it or not. I don't know. Oh, well, see, that's the reason why it stays invisible, is because it knows that if it was visible, you might not have the proper relationship with it. But right now you have no relationship with it. So what's worse? An improper relationship or no relationship at all? Either way, if I'm right, you're still screwed, right? Like if you had an improper relationship with God, you're not going to heaven, right? God would be there, but then God would tell you, hey, look, Joe, listen, I can read your mind. You know that. And here's the thing. Now that you know I exist, you're going to, do all these things, and that's not good for you because you're not going to get to heaven. You're not going to, you don't really love me. You don't really respect me. You don't believe in me. You don't trust me. I have things about the homosexuals that you might not like. Really? You do? No, that's just Blake. Blake is wrong about that. But let's pretend that Blake is right about that. He's not. But let's pretend that Blake is right about that. Okay, Joe? Now listen, Joe. Listen. I want to fix this relationship so that we have a good one, right? Wouldn't God do that? Wouldn't God work on the relationship with you? Because if God's already visible, then why would God not talk? You know what? Tell you what, God can stay invisible, but just talk out loud. How about that? Well, the same problems. If God talked out loud, you'd have all these things, and then you'd have this Well, yeah, but then God could work on the relationship with me, couldn't it? If I have a problem with Nerdy Rodent, which I don't, nice guy, it confuses me with his videos. He won't explain how he does anything. I'm like, I don't understand stuff. Make it simple. Make it simple for a dum-dum. And he's like, you got to do it in Linux. I'm like, do what now? What's Linux? I don't know what you're talking about. And then but I still like him, even if I don't understand him sometimes. Maybe he doesn't understand me sometimes, but we like each other. It's okay. You're not always going to understand people. What was my point, Blake? Oh, man. I guess it's like London, Blake. You got to think about London. I wander through each chartered street, near where the chartered famous does flow, and mark in every face I meet marks of weakness, marks of woe, and every cry of every man, and every infant's cry of fear, and every voice in every band, the mind-forged mantles I hear, Blake. You got to think about London. That's all I'm saying, Blake. You're not thinking about London. You got to think about London, Blake. That's the problem, Blake. You're not asking these critical questions, Blake. All right. But the thing is, he could work on this relationship, but I can't even have this relationship because I don't even know there's a thing to have a relationship with in the first place, Blake. That's the problem, Blake. All right. I think we'll do. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat myself if I keep going. I have that feeling. So I'm gonna call it now. But if you want me to keep going, you want me to do more of this later, let me know in the comments once this becomes an actual video, and let me know in the comments. Hey, man, keep going. Like, and if I get like 5 comments from 5 different people that say that, then I'll do more of this video, or cover more of this Blake's explanation of why God might stay hidden, which, I mean, come on, man, just, but I'll do it if enough people ask. But if it's just one of you, that's not enough for me, because I got standards. You got to come to my standards, just like the invisible man in the chair. If you don't do the things that the invisible man wants you to do, he'll never reveal himself to you, and he'll stay invisible. And then if you do the things that he wants you to, the other thing that you've got to remember is, after doing all that, there's one more thing the invisible man wants you to do. He wants you to believe in him even though he's invisible. And if you can't do that, then you'll have an improper relationship with the invisible man. And that will be a bad thing. All right. Yeah, so thanks for listening. God's not a thing that is not even a thing that's hidden unless it's a thing. We don't have any example of it in the first place, so I'm going to think that that's pretty good reason to be skeptical of it right there. But lots of people believe in God for lots of different reasons. It's just, if you try to explain why it's hidden, I think you're going to fail, because there isn't really logical explanations. There are faith-based explanations that you could provide, but then the problem is the person has to believe in that religion or in that faith. So for the person that doesn't, those explanations will sound like excuses. And that's all we have here. And until we have something else, I think we should be skeptical of the conclusions. But before I end, I do want to say one final thing, if I may ask the questions to Blake, of in what distance, deeps or skies, burnt the fire of thine eyes? On what wings dare he aspire? What the hand dare seize the fire? And what shoulder and what art could twist the shoons of thy heart? And when the heart began to beat, what dread hand and what dread feet? What the hammer, what the chain? In what furnace was thy brain? What the anvil, what the grasp? Dare its deadly terrors clasp? And when the stars threw down their spears and watered heavens with their tears, did he smile his work to see? Did he who made the lamb make thee, Blake? That's what I want to ask you, Blake. Thanks for listening, everybody. 20 million internet points for whoever figures out what I was doing with those weird things that I did in this video. And but 0 points to my brother, because he knows exactly what I'm doing, so it doesn't count. And also send me you running around naked, and you'll get $1 million video of, unless you do the thing, and that's all lobsters. There you go. That's the way to end it. That's a perfect ending. So, okay, gonna hit the button now. All right. Okay. Thanks for listening. And if you want to hang out with me more after this, I'm gonna go on my little non hidden Discord thingy that like nobody cares about, and like that'll be a thing. And then I'll be there, and you can like hang out with me there for a while. I won't be there long. Here's the link to that, I guess. Whatever. It's also in my About profile. Goodbye, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and everything. And after this video is done, don't forget to comment. A lot of you forget. Like, oh, I didn't forget this time. Yeah, well, we'll see. Okay. Bye.